at home. Are you still a big believer in line matchups? Do you feel that you can get a distinct advantage with that last change?
I don't know you can get a distinct advantage, but you can play more players, more minutes. So you can use some things to your advantage, and that's why we put the big line together. Is we're going to play it a lot, just like Barkov's going to play a lot. You know, this is a time where you're running to the break, knowing that you got a long break, so you play every game like it's sudden death, and then kind of rest in between. So I don't look at so much the matchup, because both those lines are hard to match up against. But I look at it that our top players are going to play a lot, and then we'll rest in between games, knowing that there's a big break coming up and we don't have to save it for anything.
You're on a run where you haven't won a lot in your last 10 games here, yet you're 3 points out of a playoff spot. How do you think this group is feeling about, itself, where the game's at, and your chances?
Well, we had our run, and then we all got to the same spot. So there's 6 teams for really those 2 spots. We all got here the same way, with the same point totals close to it. But, we came in, we went front door, back door. In other words, win, lose. Some teams played 500. Some teams, were similar to 2 or 3 other teams. But we're all here. And we feel like we've got a great schedule till the end of the year. We feel we've got a real opportunity. We got to do something with it. But in saying that, Ryan, we got elements of our game that have to be better. And there's 4 or 5, maybe 6 elements in our game that need to show improvement. We addressed them today. We showed video on it today. And if we get those areas improved, then I like our chances to win every night. But they've got to get better, because we've had a drop-off in certain elements of our game that don't allow us to control the games like we were before.
Cam played his best game on Sunday, and then was it just trying to get the team going the other night by taking him out, and is that why you go back to him tonight?
Well, I was kind of looking for a break or stoppage as soon as we found out where Kostka was. Well, we were trying to just break the momentum as much as possible. That was a very strange game, because there was a very little difference in scoring chances. By the time they scored their 5th goal, 3 went off our skates. It was a very strange game, because there's a lot of that game that we liked, but it seemed every time they shot the puck, there was a ping pong effect and ended up in the back of our net. So, but that's what happens when you can't stop the momentum. When you got a team like that that's on a roll like that, it's hard to stop those guys. So I looked at the road trip as 500. That's what we deserved. 2 wins we had, we deserved to win. And the 2 losses we had, we deserved to lose. So when you look at things in that game, going into that game, the road record between San Jose and Edmonton, there was 1 point difference. So San Jose had a better record than we did at home, and they took advantage of their home, and they did it again. But I think if you're playing 500 on the road for the rest of the year, you'd be really happy. But you got to make hay when you're at home, and that's our opportunity. We got to make hay when we're at home.
Ken, when it comes to Milan Lucic, last year during that slump, he kind of carried it around. You can kind of see it. This year, he was doing other things to try and get his mind off scoring, I guess. How big was that goal for him, and what have you seen in his game that allowed him to kind of just play hockey and not have that burden on him throughout this scoring slump he was on?
Look, Milan's a really good player for us right now. That line is very good. This is as good as he's played since I've been here. His anticipation on the wall, his board play, his forecheck, his positional play on the ice has allowed him to be a really good player right now. The line's effective. They got great chemistry. They got 2 big bodies that are forechecking the puck. Their last 3 games, especially the last 2, have been excellent. He himself is playing as well as I've seen him play for a long time. We just need him to keep it up. And his decisions are quicker. His movement on the ice is quicker. He's up to speed with the tempo of the game. And if this is the player that we're going to get for the balance of the year, we got a really effective player. And that line, if that line can continue to chip in every night like they're doing scoring-wise, then we end up with a really good line here right now.
Ken, as a coach, what's the hardest part, not knowing which team you're going to see from night to night? You win a game 3-1, you lose 4-0. You win a game, you lose 7-2. That's difficult for a coach, is it not?
Well, I mean, it tests you whether you're committed to coaching and the process or you just want to win. We all want to win, but are we committed to the process? The answer is yes. And I see similar traits in both games. I see in every game we're outshot, and in every game we're outchanced. Even the games we won, we're outchanced. And that's the parts that have to get worked on. We're not playing as well in the offensive zone as we did when we were controlling the hockey game. We're guilty of forcing offense, playing too much hope for hockey in the offensive zone, and we're turning it into a track meet, which does not suit our group well. That's the discrepancy for me, Jim. We've got to stop. We've got to start getting back to where we were and stop avoiding these track meets, because the track meets are the disadvantage. There was times in the Anaheim game, the game that we won 4-0, where it was went for 2.5, 3 minutes of continual odd man rushes, and we're giving up chances, we're getting chances, and we're not built that way. We're built a different way. We've got 2 or 3 really top end guys, but the rest we got to grind it down, and we're so anxious to score. We're forcing pucks into areas where we don't have numbers on it, and it's turned these games into where we're not really controlling things, and that's why we're getting outshot.
What do you need to see from Manning for him to get back in, get another crack at it? And do you have a timeline on Petrovic?
Petrovic is in concussion protocol. He'll be evaluated again today. He feels a lot better today, but we go through the protocol. Yamamoto is going to practice full-time tomorrow and hopefully be a player for Saturday. Manning, for me, he's a group of 7 now. He's in that group, and we'll just keep moving him forward. He'll probably get one of the next 2 games or 2 of the next 3, and then we'll see how he does. I think he's calmed down a little bit, from trying to do way too much, and I think we're going to end up next go having a good player. And it's the same thing with Matt Benning. We need Matt to calm down a little bit. It's been an emotional time for him, and getting him back in is good for him and good for the team.
Ken, just over here too, right? Around town and just the talk with how the team has been, there's obviously a lot of skepticism as to whether or not, you guys can make it into the playoffs, or at least get into that wild card spot. What's your take on the leadership group, I guess, with the team and their ability to lead these guys, to that goal?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm just enjoying the ride, to be honest with you. I mean, we're in a dogfight with everybody. We knew that going in, but we're in the dogfight. So I'm enjoying the ride, and I think it's a young group of leaders, a lot of young players there. We don't have a lot of veteran players in that group. We've put the group into, basically the 26 and under are kind of taking responsibility for the direction of the hockey club, and they're learning on the go too. It's been very emotional for them, peaks and valleys, but that's what you go through as you're trying to build this thing. So to me, it's get better every day and learn from your mistakes and keep this thing going. But this is not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy for us. It's not going to be easy for any team in the same boat as we are. There's very few teams that are in the rarefied air, and we're learning on the job. But, man, we're 40-something games in, and we're right in the hunt. I mean, it's a great time. And I told the players that today, we've put ourselves in a spot where we're in control of things. We don't need help, but we're going to have to really play because we're playing teams who are in the same spots, and it's going to be a battle right to the end.
Ken, just over here to the left, you were talking a little bit about line matchups, but a little bit about Barkov, what you've sort of seen of him when you coached and maybe when you were watching during your brief stay away from the bench, and how he maybe matches up with Connor?
Barkov, to me, he plays a man's game, and it's like men against boys with him sometimes. I've tried pretty much everything. I think the only thing that works is just put 5 guys in the goal crease, just stand there and wait for him to come. But he's a dominant player physically with the puck. And Connor's a one-step player. They're different players. Connor needs one step and he's gone. Barkov controls the game from a positional standpoint where he can maneuver and find space in zone. So they score different ways, but both are terrific players. The thing for me, when you coach against Barkov, you don't understand how strong he is until you play against him. And when that line is on the go, you got two really strong guys on the left and at center, and it's hard to defend. So you got to defend with numbers. And for me, with Connor is Connor. If I'm defending Connor, he makes me really nervous because if you stumble or make a misstep, he's gone, and he can score on breakaways.
Ken, in terms of Mikko Kostka, how does he rank in terms of approach? He's always regular on the ice early. He might still be out there now. Just in terms of the other goalies you've been around, how does he stack up in terms of his approach?
Well, I think Koski's hit the wall a little bit right now, and now starting to recover, come out the other side. So to me, he's worked his way through it, but he's been such an underdog his whole life. He's had to work for everything, and he's not afraid of doing that stuff. And he bounces back fine. But this is a different league than the KHL is. So he's having to stop pucks and learn on the fly here. And it's been a little bit of a test here the last little while because we haven't played near as good in front of him. So he's being exposed a little bit. But I love his attitude. I love the way he works. I love his attitude. I love the way he looks at things. He's very analytical, and he's not afraid to look in the mirror. And I think that's what, quite frankly, is going to make him a real good goalie.